Now, let me give this aggressively average introduction to the world.
Yeah.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Bearable Bull here. And we got Shen here today for this aggressively average content for every single one of you. But what Shen is over here doing is more than just aggressively average. I got to meet him at the Wave of Innovation Gold Coast Conference in Australia. And needless to say, I was absolutely impressed. My friend, would you like to give a quick introduction? Let the people at home know what is it that you're building on the XRP ledger and who are you?
Awesome. Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate your time, and it was a pleasure to meet down at the Gold Coast as well earlier this year. So I'm Shen. I've been building projects on the XRP ledger for almost 3 years now. We started building our NFT project back when there was only, 5 to 10 different projects at the time, and the NFT amendment only just got announced. So we've been able to watch the XRPL ecosystem grow, a lot over the last 3 years. And we primarily now are working on our game studio called Gen 3 Games. And so we have Zeron, which currently runs on the XRP Ledger, and it is the most actively played game on the XRP Ledger that uses XRPL NFTs and tokens to tokenize in-game assets and rewards. Um, and we're now also very focused on building out on the Root network, which is an XRPL sidechain built by the Futureverse team. It's an EVM compatible chain with native XRP and XRPL asset integration. So it allows the seamless bridging of XRP and XRPL assets over to the Root network. And then you can use those assets and tokens with smart contract-based functionality and smart contract based DeFi and things like that. So, and we just launched a gamified and gaming asset specific marketplace on the Root network about a week or about a week and a half ago. We launched the public beta of that, and that's called the Tradeverse. So that's mainly what we're focusing on right now.
Now, Shen, I know that you and your generation, you guys are very tech forward. You guys are very tech savvy. But my generation, and especially the boomers, probably have no idea what the hell you just said. Now,
Mhm.
you brought up Root Network, you brought up Gamify, Beta, Tradeverse, different things, Zertmon as well.
Yeah.
Just very quickly, if we can just step by step go through each one of these things. First of all, with
Mhm.
Zertmon, I know that this is a game on the XRP ledger. Is it possible that you
Yeah.
could just pull it up on the screen just so people know maybe where to play it? What
Yeah, for sure. What
because
what
I
I'll yeah, what I'll do is I'll send you over a bunch of content that you
sure.
can show off for sure. Yeah. But yeah, it's fully live on the XRP ledger right now, and there are various game modes that both require the NFTs and not, and essentially it's a creature collecting style game, so very similar to Pokemon style games. Where each and every single individual creature is tokenized as an XRPL NFT. You're then able to collect these creatures, build up a team, and verse against various NPC gym leaders, which will reward you with token rewards, which can then be converted into XRP on the native decks very easily. And then also you can verse other players to get rewards as well. So we've found as well, we actually have quite of an older demographic, I think, who are primarily playing the game. And it has, I think, a combination to do with obviously the nostalgia aspects of Pokemon style games. It's something that I think everyone experienced in their childhood. And then we're also able to, create these really strong reward mechanisms, which is bringing in more people who are focused on not just the playing side, but also the earning side of the game. But as us coming from a game design background, we designed it in a way that the game would be fun regardless if it had any sort of a blockchain reward integration, and then this sort of tokenized rewards on top is just like sort of added incentive. And I think that, by taking that route in terms of game development, that's how we've been able to achieve so much success with the game so far on the XRPL.
Now, just a quick question about that.
Mhm.
You said you're able to use your XRPL NFTs. So, for example, the Xpunks or the XRPL Board Apes or X
No,
token.
it's just specifically Zertmon right now. We
Okay.
have actually we've done some collaborative collections with a couple of other projects over time and integrated those NFTs into the game. So I think there's about three external collections which we've worked together with them to integrate those collections into the game, but it's primarily our own Zertmon collections. However, we really like the idea of interoperability, and so that's why we have worked closely with a variety of other teams to add utility to their NFTs by giving them integration into the Zone game.
Understood. So just for my own information, because I
Mhm.
actually want to like get introduced to this game,
Yeah.
where can I find it so I could play?
Yeah, for sure. So you just have to head to our web app, which is app.zertmon.world. And then also, if you go to the main Zertmon website, which is just zertmon.world, you can also access the app very easily from there. And then all the NFTs are bought and sold on XRP Cafe, which is the main marketplace on the XRPL. However, we also do have some other mechanisms within the web app that make it easier for new players to get involved because one of the things we found with Zertmon is that, we've had a lot of success with a very loyal community who are very passionate about the game. However, it means that the floor price of these creatures remains very high and it sits at about 350 to 400 XRP per creature. And when we sell them, when we do these releases of like 50 odd Zertmon at a time, they sell out within 30 seconds every time, pretty much. So it's been very difficult to bring in new players. So what we created is a loaning marketplace within the web app. So within the app itself, you can actually loan creatures and trainers and equipment off of other players for a small amount of tokens per day, and that way you can start playing the game without having to invest, the 350 to 400 XRP that's required at
Mhm.
least to get one of these creatures.
Understood, understood. And thank you for that. That was actually going to be my next question, so I appreciate you saying that. And you said you had a background in gaming. Where where's that background from?
Yeah, for sure. So at university I studied game design and game theory and so it's something that I've been passionate about for a very long time and for us we've very much looked at how blockchain can enhance the gaming experience and we always felt like with NFTs they had such a powerful use case within the gaming ecosystem. I'm not the biggest fan of what they call PFP NFTs, and I think the era of an NFT not really having any actual use case is sort of gone now. And so now I think that I really believe that the next sort of bull run for NFTs will be NFTs that you can actually use something for. And so you're buying this NFT to use it rather than buying this NFT for the idea that maybe someone can buy it off you again in 2 months, 3 months, or whatever for a higher price. So that's where I think like gaming is a really powerful use case for NFTs because and that's why I think that, for example, with Zertmon, why these batches of Zertmon sell so quickly every single time is not because people are buying them and then thinking that someone else is going to buy it off them for more in a month's time. It's because they want to use that creature in the game straight away, increase the power of their squad, things like that. And that applies to all games, right? So, I am really looking forward to trying to use games and gamification as a really great way to sort of reinvigorate the NFT ecosystem across all of crypto really, um, and especially for XRP powered NFTs.
Understood, understood. And I absolutely agree with you. When I was over here watching rocks go for $4 million,
Yeah.
I was kind
Yeah.
of dumbfounded, and then I'd have clients come up to me and say, "Bull, you don't understand these apes. They're the future." And I'm like, "Sell it and buy your mother a house, you
Yeah.
idiot."
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but because I just
Totally.
didn't understand how you could get behind it and how it was gonna work. I understand
Mm.
that fads go up and down and all around. Like crypto kitties were around since 2017.
Yeah.
I knew about crypto kitties, then the board apes
Yeah.
and all these they came back around in 2021. But I do agree
Mm.
with you. The next generation does need to be a sort of usable, real life
Mm.
applicable NFT, and I don't know. Would the phrase kind of like quantum fingerprint kind of work in this scenario? Like maybe you have some
Mm.
type of ID, wallet address that's tied to this ID character avatar that you could use in whatever metaverse digital world that you're a part of.
Yeah, totally,
Kind of,
totally. And I mean, I think there's a lot of there's a lot of interesting work being done now around like DIDs, which is decentralized identities. And so those are essentially it's like an object, like an NFT, but it holds identification data. Some of it public, some private. And then you can use this, this on-chain object to verify your own identity as you move through different experiences and all of that. So, like I know there's a DID proposal to be like for an amendment on the XRPL and a variety of other chains already have DIDs live. So I think that like, yeah, it really interoperability is like the biggest thing right now. And I think especially for like just the way that the ecosystem is heading, like it's everything is going multi-chain, and every platform that's being built or like game or experience needs to be built out in a way that it can go multi-chain as well if it wants to like
mm,
last term, I think.
understood, understood. Now, that being said, I'm curious to know, you had mentioned you definitely wanted to talk about the Tradeverse, and I believe that's a part of the Futureverse ecosystem as well, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
correct. Yeah.
Um,
So I can give a bit of a like an overview on of Futureverse and the root network if you'd like.
Absolutely, please.
Yeah, cool. So the root network is, I think it's only about 8 to 10 months old at this point. And so it's a side chain built by Futureverse. And so Futureverse is a company that it was originally, I think, between 12 to 16 different companies that were all working in AI and NFT technology. And then early last year, they did a massive merger and came together and did a big fundraising round, which was actually led by Ripple. And then after that fundraising round, they went and built the Root network, which is a XRPL sidechain. It's not technically a sidechain in the fact that it has its own consensus mechanism. It's a proof of stake network. However, it has native XRP integration. XRP is the default gas token for every single transaction on that chain. And it also has the ability to have natively minted XRPL assets like XRPL NFTs bridged over in a decentralized way.
Now
So
that's
it's like,
very now that's very important, but something I do want to do very quickly because something I know about different crypto audiences is that you have people that understand the crypto lingo very advanced. Then you have people that may be a little older that are like, "What the hell did you just say? What is this?" Very quickly for the people at home that may not know, what is a side chain for the XRP ledger? Just
yeah,
because I
sure.
think that's very important people
Yeah,
understand.
no, that's a very good point. Um, Yeah, and please feel free to stop me whenever and let me ask me
Excellent.
to
Yeah.
explain stuff because like yeah, because often I'll just
Dude,
go.
you're over here building on it. People are over here just they threw $100 on it and wanted to go to 589, bro. So I'm just trying to bridge the gap between.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
you're right. You're good. You're good. You're good. So yeah, an XRPL sidechain is essentially in the proper definition is like essentially like a forked version of the XRPL. So like when we're looking at one of the most talked about XRPL sidechains, I'd say is something like Zahao, which is live right now and it uses hooks. And so essentially that is like a fork of the XRPL, but with various additions such as hooks and some other things. So essentially a sidechain of the XRPL is someone or a team that will take the core framework of the XRPL and its functionality, and then usually what they'll do is they'll add some extra functionality that isn't coming to the mainnet. So for example, we've got the EVM sidechain being built right now by Persist, and so that's the XRPL, but with complete EVM compatibility, right? So all of these chains, these side chains, is essentially taking the XRPL framework and adding things which aren't necessarily going to arrive to the mainnet via the like amendment process, things like smart contracts and stuff like that.
And I think that's important because I believe side chains were made so it doesn't like clog the main network, correct?
Yeah,
So
yeah, well, exactly. Yeah. I mean, like it takes like, yeah, less, like, yeah, it'll be less, less, tr what do you call it? Less like activity, I guess, directly on the mainnet. And so I think this is where the confusion sort of lies for some people who have had like a negative perspective towards these side chains, is that they're like, oh, it's taking away liquidity from the XRPL, because this liquidity will now exist on the side chains.
mhm.
However, as I mentioned before, as I think that everything and every chain is going extremely multi-chain and interoperable at this point, is that like we need the XRP that's being used throughout all of these side chains. That's where the value is, right? I think that we need to stop looking at like how can we pump the all of the liquidity and all of the volume onto the XRPL mainnet, and rather
Mhm.
look at like, if we have five different side chains which are all, used for unique different things, like we've got Root Network being used for gaming, and the EVM sidechain being used for DeFi, and like Zahao hooks being used for governance. If we have all of those with unique different use cases, all using XRP, that's actually like where it's like five times the amount of XRP being actively used. And I think that that is a much more important metric than how much activity there is on the XRPL. I think, yeah, a much more important metric is how much XRP is being used, regardless of what chain it's on. It's more about the XRP as a token needs to be being used for various amounts of use case. And if XRP is being used heavily for gaming on the Root network, being used for DeFi on the EVM sidechain, being used
The
for governance
compound
on the
effect.
how, like that's massive amounts of utility and use case happening for XRP, and even if the activity and participation on the mainnet doesn't change a whole lot, but we see massive traction on these side chains, it's 100% a net positive for XRP as a token, and price accumulation, things like that.
And I think a point that a lot of people don't understand as well is that look at what's going on with Ethereum, right?
Exactly, and all the
Nobody,
L2s.
nobody,
Yeah.
nobody likes those gas fees, and nobody likes how slow Ethereum can get, right? The
Yeah.
reason that happens is because the mainnet gets bogged down with all these backed up transactions, and XRP's niche use cases cross-border payments. It's very fast and it's very cheap. And if you bring all these different use cases on the mainnet, right, like you said, that will take away from XRP's original use case and intention. So this is us what I'd like to call a more slow and steady wins the race approach, right? I don't think that every single coin or one coin is going to take over every single use case, right? But it's about building a thriving ecosystem that can survive and that doesn't break down or doesn't get expensive. So that's an incredible point you just made, my friend.
Yeah,
Really.
totally. And I mean, yeah, like you're 100% right. I mean, you look at Ethereum nowadays and there's a new L2 popping up every week for a different use case. So it's the very natural evolution of a blockchain ecosystem, I think. And like I really believe that it'll be extremely beneficial for XRP to start getting used heavily on all of these different side chains, and once the like EVM side chain starts to go live, that means it's much easier for XRP to be moved onto other EVM chains and other L2s and all of that. And I think yeah, it's very much about how can we get XRP on as many different chains as possible with as many different use cases as possible. And what that means is that even if the active participation on the XRP mainnet doesn't change, we could still see, massive amounts of increased volume and price and things like that on the XRP token, even if the mainnet participation doesn't change. Because in reality, like, the mainnet has a very specific and niche use case, as you mentioned, right? They're targeting, cross-border payments and banking remittances and things like that, right? So, we're not going to see DeFi focused, amendments really, and like gaming NFT focused amendments. Those aren't the priority for the XRP on mainnet. And so if we want to see them move fast, we will see those on side chains, but still using XRP. And so I think that like, I think that it's very closed-minded for people to believe that these side chains are like taking away liquidity from the mainnet, because the liquidity doesn't need to be on the mainnet for XRP to gain more use case, more volume, higher price, all of that. We don't need the volume on the mainnet. We just need more use for XRP across all the chains.
And just a final point before we continue, just a little further, I kind of view a lot of these side chains as kind of like a test net for potential amendments that could come down the road. Is that a
Yeah.
good way to look at it as well?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, like, there's always the potential for that. I mean, in my experience, like stability and security is like of utmost importance to the XRPL mainnet ecosystem and the validators there. So it is, a notoriously slow process to bring these things to the mainnet. However, I definitely see that if these sort of functionalities are working really well on these side chains, I can definitely see the potential for them coming to the mainnet. And like, there are some proposals which are targeted towards like NFTs, like there's dynamic NFTs being proposed to the XRP mainnet and things like that. I think the biggest difference really is probably about the speed in the go to market for these. So, on these side chains where because these side chains aren't being used for international banking remittances and, B2B payments and stuff, they don't have to worry about stability and security as much, and they can add these, more unique, amendments to do with NFTs and gaming and DeFi, a lot quicker without those concerns. Whereas the XRP on mainnet, it's a blockchain that's been running like flawlessly for 10 11 years, right? So it's something where we have to be very careful about what gets added to the mainnet, because we don't want to compromise the original use case of the blockchain,
Absolutely, absolutely. But please continue. We got on a side tangent, but
right?
I think people appreciated that one for sure.
Yeah,
But please
definitely, definitely.
continue with, I think you were talking about root, and then we could get
Yeah.
into Futureverse a little more.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. So yeah, the Root network is a sidechain which is very tailored towards gaming and entertainment. It's got Futureverse is, I mean, it could be considered similarly to what Ripple is to the XRPL. Futureverse is the team that built the Root network, and so the Root network is EVM compatible, so you can have smart contracts, integrated with NFTs or tokens or DeFi on the Root network, including using XRP. So, for example, they had XRP liquidity pools on the Root network, which I was using for DeFi and things like that well before the AMM even launched on the XRP on mainnet. So it's got a lot of the more traditional DeFi mechanisms alongside it. And so what Futureverse have done is over the last like year, 2 years, they've taken a really top-down approach to building out this ecosystem, where they focused on partnering with really top other IP. So they partnered with IP such as FIFA, Reebok, Muhammad Ali, things like that, all in terms of releasing NFTs and helping these companies tokenize on chain. So, for example, you can have FIFA branded NFTs as part of the Futureverse ecosystem. There's Reebok branded NFTs, which you could design through the Reebok website and then tokenize directly onto the Root network. things like that is what they've really focused on partnering with. And one of the biggest partnerships that Futureverse have built, over the last year is a partnership with Ready Player One and Warner Brothers, and also the director and writer of Ready Player One. And so they're building something called the Readyverse. And so it is a variety of games. The main one, I think, has been called Open. And it's a variety of games that all integrate the officially licensed Ready Player One and soon to be Ready Player Two IP. And so all of this IP is directly tokenized onto the root network and then traded on our marketplace, the Tradeverse. And using XRP. So what's really powerful about something like this is how we can bring a lot more like real retail activity and participation to XRP. So, once this game goes live and there is officially licensed Ready Player One IP tokenized onto the root network on our marketplace on Tradeverse as well, and buying and selling that with XRP. So that means we'll see, a massive amount of people coming into the XRP ecosystem via these really massive partnerships. And a lot of the time they're going to be non-crypto natives, right? So I think it's going to be such a powerful avenue to bring in non-crypto natives into the XRP ecosystem, and to start actually using XRP, because they'll be trading all of this really awesome officially licensed IP, all using XRP, and every time they're trading, they're using XRP for gas for every transaction as well.
Now that's very important. I like the fact that XRP will be used for gas, but you also went into a lot of the partnerships and specifically the IP that will be used with like FIFA, Ready Player One, and on all these other partnerships you guys have. Now, I think there was a part that you mentioned that I missed. Did you say that they will be available? This IP is part of Futureverse and will be available on the root network, or how does that work
Yeah,
exactly?
correct. So Futureverse have formed all of these partnerships,
Okay,
and so
okay.
they've also, so they have a really strong team in that sense, and they've just continued to create really strong partnerships with big brands, sporting teams, things like that as well, because they're very focused on how can we bring retail into Web3, right? And how can we make it very seamless for these users to come into Web3? And that's a very powerful thing, I think, as well, for, for then you think about XRP is the main currency on this network as well, right? You're
Mhm.
using it for gas, you're using it for trading everything. So if this becomes, the network in terms of bringing in, people, non-crypto natives, then, XRP is going to be the first, token that they even experience when it comes to being on chain. And I think that that is a really, really powerful thing. And I think that, Futureverse and Root Network are building the sort of like retail use case that, we've all been waiting for XRP.
And for everyone at home, the big reason why I have Shen on, besides the fact that he's extremely articulate in some of the most complicated tech shit I've ever heard in my life, but is quite frankly because I think the next wave of crypto adoption will be which networks have the best user experience tied to them, right? I think it's
Definitely.
pretty fair to say that our grandmothers aren't going to be over here trying to store our XRP on ledgers and then try and go play Zertmons with their NFTs and all. They're not going to do that. But with the partnerships Futureverse is over here cultivating and the use cases that companies like FIFA are building with their IPs, that'll bring people that don't have to be crypto savvy but will be using the crypto infrastructure without even knowing it. And that's what I think the next true mass adoption run will be. People using crypto without knowing they're using crypto. And that has to happen. That's always had to happen. And dude, that's going to be massive and
Yeah,
really appreciate what
yeah,
you're
yeah, I totally agree. And like, yeah, with our marketplace on the Root network, Tradeverse, we're building it out so that it is extremely Web2 friendly, and we're working with a partner now to integrate fiat, transactions. So that means that someone will be able to, if someone was really into Ready Player One, it's all tokenized on chain on the Tradeverse. They come onto the Tradeverse and they can just buy one of these officially licensed NFTs with their credit card. And in the background, they're actually buying and spending XRP, but for
Mm-hmm.
them on the front end, they're just using their credit card, right? So that, and I think that is such a powerful way to add so much utility and use case to XRP from a retail standpoint, while also just making it so easy for these non-crypto natives to participate by tying together both, really seamless and easy UI UX plus, really big IP that is attractive to non-crypto natives.
Mm-hmm. Now, for the people at home, I'm going to dumb this down as much as possible. Futureverse, main company that's over here getting partnerships. Root Network is the network that uses Ethereum virtual machine smart contracts, but uses XRP as a gas token, right? That's very important because the first time I was told this, I was like, okay, the benefits of smart contracts, but with
And actually,
XRP being,
yeah,
being
and just
yeah.
to add on that, something which is quite cool, which I think a lot of people are unaware of, is that if you stake the other main token on the network is the root token. And because it's a proof of stake network, if you stake your root to the network, just the same way you'd stake your ETH to the network or anything like that, if you stake your root to the network, you actually each era, which I believe is 90 days, you get paid out in the fees that the network has been making, right? And a lot of those fees are in XRP, the vast majority. So when you're staking your root to the network, every 90 days when the staking rewards get released, you're actually earning XRP based on how much XRP is being used for fee transactions on the network.
Fascinating. Excellent. I didn't even know that. Excellent. Thank you for that. And then would you trade versus the marketplace where you could get some of these NFTs, correct?
Yeah, correct. So Tradeverse is the marketplace that we just launched alongside Futureverse. We work very closely with them, and we just launched the public beta of the marketplace about a week and a half ago. And so yeah, that is probably about a few months away from like a full release. But yeah, it's been really great so far, and there was pretty much no other competition in terms of marketplace wise for the Root network. So it's been really great to see the entire community get around the platform straight away.
Excellent, excellent. And Shen, just very quickly, how old are you?
I'm 23.
So you're 23. A big reason why I have you on here today is I want to use you as inspiration for any random degenerate sitting at home wondering where they could go in life, what direction they could have. The world is currently very volatile. We get distracted with politics and the lizard people, whatever conspiracy is on whatever thing, drugs, nonsense, purposelessness. I brought you on quite frankly because at a young age, you said you've been building for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
Fantastic, brother. It's fantastic, high level shit. It was very inspiring to me, and I want to have you be an example to inspire others that may not have direction. Things change very quickly, especially in the crypto space. And unlike any other ecosystem, the crypto space disproportionately benefits builders unbelievably. That's something I've just seen, and that's just an irrefutable fact. And I hope that there's someone out there that gains inspiration from your story, everything you're a part of, because it's genuinely impressive, brother. Thank you
Thanks,
so
man. I
much
really
for being
appreciate that.
here. This is an excellent ecosystem that is being built. Zertmon, your NFTs, the games, Root Network, Tradeverse, Futureverse over here building this out and bringing true powerhouse companies to use our ecosystem, our XRP token. Quite frankly, that's
Yeah.
to anyone at home, that's massive, right? These companies are placing their stakes right now at which cryptos are going to win. And when these big boys make these moves, you have to understand that they know more than you. So the tech is being built, the ecosystems are thriving. Don't let anyone tell you that we're not thriving because we are. And I'm a big believer that development activity does bring price, but also price does bring development activity as well. So I think natural market forces are going to bring even more attention to everything that's going on right here. And yeah, you're going to be a front runner in this one. You're for
Thanks,
sure.
man. Yeah, I really appreciate the time. It's been yeah, it's been great. And yeah, I mean I really hope there's someone out there who decides to, start building after watching something like this. I mean, for me, yeah, we just started it as a hobby with me and a couple others and that at the time. But it hasn't been easy all the time. And we spent, I think the first like 1.5 years, I'd say, of we were applying to grants and things, and we got rejected to like 4 grants in a row or something like that. And but we just kept building, so I really suggest that, even if it's looking tough, just if you really believe in what you're building and you believe it truly does have value, like eventually things will click, and it's just about keeping on.
Hey, Shen, bless you, my brother. Thank you so much. I hope to have you
Thanks,
on
bro.
too. Anything you need from me, don't hesitate to ask, dude, for sure. Really
Appreciate
impressed.
it. Likewise. Appreciate it.
Yep.